everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Doug Thompson podcast. This is the Emerging Speakers Series, I like to call it. I should call it like the Texas connection here because all my guests so far have been from Texas, which is pretty good because we got a lot of people like to talk around here. My guest today is Carolyn Cummins. Carolyn, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Doug. Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining today. You were I pulled you in because you were listening to my podcast that I had earlier with Mr. Sessions, and you were engaged with that. So, and then you pulled in a couple other people. I think a couple other people. Steven, I think, is coming up Saturday.
Excellent. Yes, looking forward to that one.
So I understand you're not a podcast veteran, so I'll take it easy on you. We're gonna have fun today, is what we're gonna have. But tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I am a social media and digital marketing coach. I help small business owners and solopreneurs to develop effective digital marketing strategies, and that's what I speak about. And I go around to trade organizations or local business associations such as the Chamber or SCORE or SBDC, which are small business resource centers. And I help small business owners develop better strategies.
We all need a strategy because marketing is a strange animal for me, even though I've been in sales all my life and career. So it's needed for sure. And hopefully I'll pick up some tips today. So how did that lead to speaking?
I think it was just a natural progression in that the most effective way to help a large group of people is to speak about it. And it started with the chamber, my local chamber here in Georgetown, Texas, during the pandemic, asked me to do a talk on Zoom about social media and helping people during that time. And that really was the jump start to me speaking to other chambers and then to other organizations in and around the Austin, greater Texas area about marketing tactics that could help small business owners. And it's really the small business owner that needs the most help because large corporations have huge departments that do the work. Small business owners or solopreneurs are typically one or two people, and they did not start their business to do marketing. And so helping them find strategies that they can effectively implement so that they can go out and do their passion and express their passion is really what I get jazzed about.
Yeah, Tom and I were talking about that yesterday. Is you're always sort of marketing yourself when you're doing that as a speaker. You do all the work. Um, and, and I saw something today that your marketing is everything else you do outside getting on stage. That's all the work that you do with that. So speaking is a result of it. Sort of reminds me of the Ironman training. You had 6 months of training. The race day, although it was long, my shortest one was 15 hours and I'm 15 hours and 20 minutes. But
Wow.
getting up to there healthy, that 6 months leading up there, you were showing up every day and you're doing a little bit, and it takes a lot of work.
Yes, that is the same. I ran a marathon in 2009, and the effort to get to that point was tremendous. Now, getting the last 2 miles was also pretty stressful, but the end result was really fantastic. And that is the journey of a speaker, is just trying to find your gigs,
Mm-hmm.
and then finding enough, whether those are going to be sort of fee forgiven, and we'll call it that instead of free, but fee forgiven gigs where you then parlay that into something else, or if you're getting paid for it. They're all difficult to get, and there are a lot of speakers out there, and so we're all buying essentially for the same jobs. There are also plenty of jobs, so there's no need to cannibalize each other.
Well, that's an interesting point. It's not like you're in the NBA or something and there's only so many spots, right? There may be so many stages, but as I was talking with Tom yesterday, and I was talking to you earlier before we came on, is that not all gigs are right for you, right? So I would not be good in a sewing circle type thing. That would not be my gig, or a hairstylist. That is not my gig, So, but if I heard about it, definitely I would, I'd have to say, look, Carolyn's great. You should really reach out to her, or send off that way. So it's this great community, and it's not necessarily it's more cooperative than competitive, is what I'm hearing.
It's absolutely cooperative and it's collaborative. Because many times if you speak and you do a keynote one place or a workshop, they're likely not going to want you back unless you have other content that's valuable to them. And so they're going to ask you if you know any speakers that could come and do other keynotes for them or other workshops. And so knowing other speakers and creating, connections with other speakers helps you to refer them, and then you become part of this referral network where speakers will refer you to different organizations, which has happened to me on a number of different occasions where I spoke one place, somebody heard me, and so they referred me to something else. And if you are in a silo or you're only by yourself trying to figure it out, it's much, much harder. And any speaker will tell you that's doing it well that you have to go out and connect with other people that are doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah, it's again, I was telling I've got every job that I've had in my career because I knew somebody that said, "Hey, you ought to come do this." You had the formalities and stuff, but they knew me and so much like that. So big firm believer in that. And I'm trying to, like I said, broaden my circle. And part of that's by doing this podcast and getting the thing and joining, organizations to get in and get those friends that, as Tom would say, would invite you over for Thanksgiving if you were like lonely.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. We just had a National Speakers Association Austin San Antonio chapter summer social, and that is exactly that. It is just a time to connect and get to know each other better in a completely different way so that you do feel comfortable referring somebody. Just because you're in an organization with someone doesn't mean necessarily that you're comfortable referring them. But once you get to talk with them and learn what they speak about and learn what they're interested in and what their strengths are, then you can, as you're out in the world, decide if they're a good match for a referral.
So, of your, I tell you, there's always the call for speakers that are out there. There's thousands of them, and sometimes that's a daunting task. How do you look at those things and narrow those things down a little bit?
Yes, I see calls for speaker all the time, and when I look at those, I look at the industry, the type of conference that it is, because of what I do and the fact that I really work with small business owners, then it really is based on your niche and your target market. So not every conference is right, and I look for ones that I think are going to really resonate with what I have to say. There are plenty of people out there talking about social media, digital marketing, AI related to content. So matching up my skills and my expertise with the conference is key for me. So I'll look at the conference details and look at their target audience and then determine. And I've applied for a number of different conferences that didn't choose me because again, they're trying to match it up, and I just wasn't the right fit. But you have to keep applying. It's this, it's the name of the game. It is a numbers game a little bit, but more than call for speakers, I would focus on your relationships with other speakers and other organizations. Most of the contacts that I've gotten and the speaking that I've gotten is because I'm out in the community. I go to a variety of chamber functions. I'm in other networking groups. I'm in the National Speakers Association, the national level, and the local Austin chapter. And I get connected with different groups of people. So it's not always the speakers and it's not always chambers, but different networking groups that allow me to broaden my exposure to the different types of people that might hear me speak.
Yeah, it's definitely laying the groundwork, and it's getting understanding the business, I guess, and looking for those opportunities. People
Yes.
buy from people. They don't necessarily buy from a corporation or even a small business. They're buying from a person.
That's right, and you never know. You could go speak at the Rotary. They're always looking for speakers. Chambers are always looking for speakers. And although those are typically fee for given types of speaking opportunities, it gives you practice to speak and hones in your skills so you're not saying the sort of tick words that typically come out when people are nervous about speaking. And you can be introduced to people that would potentially hire you for other opportunities, including paid gigs.
Angela may be a friend of yours. Apparently, she was at the social as well, so she agrees with you on
Oh,
that. So
yes.
thanks for watching, Angela, and listening on that. So we'll be in touch with that. She may be, she may be a guest coming here. I may have to
Yes.
reach out to her and see. But it's I like that. When did you get this feeling that, because as the speakers I talked to somewhere down it, they may have fallen into it by, again, their job. I've spoken a lot of corporate events and stuff like that. But at a certain point in time, you get connected where they get an energy and a vibe. For me, I get energy back from speaking. I'm exhausted after I'm done. It doesn't matter whether it's 20 minutes or 2 hours. I'm exhausted because I put everything into it. But I get energy back from that. I get energy, especially from the audience. Virtual's a little harder. It's not quite the same. But if you're in front of an audience, there's this unseen energy that I get from the audience that it's like a drug. It's like, nothing else that goes on. I really like that.
I told somebody just the other day that if I had a love language, it would be giving back and helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really about teaching. And I love teaching people how to do things better. And I like learning how to do things better too.
Yeah.
But I'm really good at teaching people how to do things better. And so, yes, when I get done and people come up afterwards and tell me how much information they're going to be able to use in their business, it's a fantastic feeling. And I didn't realize that I wanted to be a teacher as much as I did until I became a teacher. And then I realized, looking back on it, that I actually wanted to be a teacher all along. Because I told my mom when I was very, very young that I wanted to be a teacher when I grew up. And through a series of conversations, that didn't happen. And I went into corporate America. And then I became a yoga teacher, which was still teaching. And now I teach people, small business owners, about digital marketing. But it's really come full circle, and it's about really tapping into your passion. And when
Mm-hmm.
you're passionate about what you do, that comes across on the stage. It comes across in a coaching session. It comes across in a coffee chat, and people can feel that, and then they become more connected, and they then receive what they're looking for. It's really a great feeling.
It is. And, I look for that one person in the audience or whatever the engagement that got something out of it that's going to change what they do, right? It's going to change. So you've given them a skill that they didn't have before. That's why in corporate America, I love mentoring a lot of, like I said, I would mentor a lot of college, but I was a two-way street for me, because I would learn things from them about their perspective of that generation. Cause there's always at least a couple generations between me and them. Me and Methuselah, we're really close, but so, but it's a great experience for you if you're open for it and you're willing to and that's the great thing, is seeing other people go with things that you've taught them and do things that just, couldn't do before. That's a great feeling. That's the feeling I'm talking about.
Yep, absolutely. Nothing better.
So when you wanted to be this teacher, you told this, we're going to talk about this yellow clothes basket thing. So you apparently, you don't ever share anything with me ahead of time. Nothing's off the record. It's like a reporter. So tell us that story, because it was really, we have these glimpses. Everybody I've talked to at some point in time in the background had a glimpse of something that they didn't associate with it right away, but looking back and reflection, said that was when it started.
So my parents gave me a yellow laundry basket after I came back from a vacation with my grandparents. And my brother and I both got laundry baskets at the same time. And my only sort of nudge at that is that I'm 2 years younger than him. So we started doing our laundry at the same time, but I feel like I should have started it 2 years later to be even. And so this yellow laundry basket has just been this thorn in my side. But what it taught me was responsibility and ownership and accountability. And I did a talk about it for my dad when I was very, very young. He had a magic camp in Austin, Texas. And I told the story. I did a speech about the yellow laundry basket. And I don't remember giving this speech, but I can imagine what it was, which was, you are going to get skills from things that you don't even know just by the experience, which is exactly what the magic camp is, where they teach magic and puppetry and juggling, but they're also teaching a huge amount of life skills, and it's an amazing camp. But that's what the yellow laundry basket did for me. It also prevents me from ever wearing yellow because I really cannot stand the color. But that's okay. So I'm okay
That's
with
all right. You mentioned a couple other things. So I would have had a great time at the camp, except the puppet thing, and that, that whole ventriloquist thing is not as bad. But the magic and the like I said, the juggling is sort of fun, and it's like I said, if you're open to things, you can learn from just about anything, and that's where I take a lot of my stories and stuff from, is just everyday life, and I call it sort of thinking in story, in that I see an event or something that comes across. I've been mulling a problem or something that somewhere that I want to talk about or help somebody with. And it dawns on me, here's a great analogy. Like I was thinking one this morning about group text messaging. I was thinking about what our platform does. And that was it. Exactly. Is the experience. You always have that one person. Well, the one of them may be green box instead of the blue box. That's annoying enough. But the one that doesn't respond, that hey, I need this. I'm waiting on you to, everybody else to respond right away. And what makes it worse is I think they do it on purpose. Sometimes they'll put the read receipts on just to let you know they read it, but they don't want to go ahead and respond to you. That's irritating, but it's just one of those everyday experiences. But it makes for a good analogy if you're trying to explain something to somebody that doesn't necessarily have the level of expertise that you do. Like if you were explaining some marketing stuff to me, if you framed it in a technological way or something like that, that would make more sense to me than simply going from some marketing theory, I think.
This really goes back to your audience,
Mm-hmm.
right? Understanding who you're speaking to, and what words you can use that are going to relate to them. And I teach a common concept called it's VAK, which is the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic language, and how you can use that in text to help connect it deeper with your audience in your digital marketing. But the same applies to the stage. So understanding your audience and then using words and processes that make sense to them really is going to help you to connect with them on a deeper level and keep them wanting to listen to you.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I find, being in the technical realm. There's no shortage of smart people. I'm not going to be in the top 10 list of the smartest people in technology on the planet. But what I am good at is explaining technology to people that don't necessarily need to understand how it works, but to understand what it can do for them to solve a problem or something like that. And that's where I sort of fell into this. I developed my own because I like telling stories, but I'm very good at doing that. And I want to help other smart, these really smart people that they're doing a disservice to the world and their career probably by not being able to relate to people that aren't necessarily as equally smart as they are, or in that technology, right? How do you share what you do with somebody that can help you, or in this case of speaking or something, or just even in a job interview? I was a mentor out at UT McCombs Business School in a master's program. And I look at the resume and I was looking up every third word because what is this? I don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, why should I hire you? I could hire anybody here because you're all brilliant. Why should I hire you? And they would start reading the resume. They couldn't tell me a story of why I should hire them. And it's just like, and technology today works against that. We've got text, we got chat, we got these other things, which doesn't really lend itself to a story. How do you help people along? Because marketing is much the same way.
I tell people in marketing, because marketing is often factual. They'll talk about the product benefits or the service or why somebody should hire them versus someone else. But that is all just factual information. Really getting down to what is it doing for the customer? Why should the customer want it? What are you solving for the customer? And starting off your sort of story arc from that frame of mind will help you to have that content resonate more with the customer.
Yeah.
It's really all about the audience.
Yeah. I call it starting the story where the customer lives or the audience lives. Use words that they use, paint a similar experience so they have a frame of reference. I find it makes them more comfortable and gives them sort of a safe jumping off point to join you on the journey you want to take them on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sounds like you're exactly right. So, Kelly, we're sort of getting it. So, how do we get in touch with you? What's your next big thing that's going on?
So I just launched a course. It's called Back to Basics. It teaches people exactly like what we're talking about, how to identify their target market, and how to clarify their content pillars. And your content pillars are the key talking points of your business. Frequently, when I ask people who their target audience is, they'll say, "Oh, everybody in," and then insert the geographic area.
Right.
And that's where I know that people haven't really identified their target markets. So their marketing is not hitting, they're not talking about the right types of things to connect with people. So this course is to help people with that. And then from there, then they can do one-on-one coaching with me, or they can join my marketing circle. And that's all on my website at santoshasolutions.com. I'm sure that'll be in the show notes, but
Yep.
you can do a quick connect call with me. It's 15 minutes, it's free. And if you have a quick question about social media or digital marketing, I am happy and here to help.
Well, thanks a lot, Carolyn, for joining us. And I really appreciate the yellow closed back thing. That's not in my color palette either, but we'll just take it from here. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.